Man does the unthinkable when teen knocks on door for help. On November 2nd, 2013, a tragic event shook the community of Dearborn Heights, Michigan, when 19-year-old Renisha McBride lost her life. After crashing her car in Detroit, McBride wandered into a nearby neighborhood where she knocked loudly on the doors and windows of a house. The homeowner, Theodore Wafer, responded by shooting her with a shotgun. Wafer claimed that he thought his home was being broken into and that the shooting was accidental. McBride's death sparked outrage and accusations of racial profiling, as she was an African American woman and Wafer was a white man. What led to McBride's tragic death, and how did the legal system respond? Join us as we explore the details of this heartbreaking case and the impact it had on the community. On November 2nd, 2013, a disturbing incident took place on the west side of Detroit when 19-year-old Renisha McBride crashed her car at Bramall and Majestic. According to police reports, a witness called 911 and reported that a woman had been driving recklessly and even hit a parked car before leaving the scene on foot. Despite this call, police did not immediately dispatch officers to the scene, considering the incident a low priority. Another call was made 40 minutes later, stating that the driver had returned, but McBride had already left again by the time EMS arrived. The owner of the parked car reported that McBride seemed confused and disoriented. This unsettling incident raises questions about the initial police response and the treatment of individuals in distress. McBride's behavior after the crash suggested that she may have been disoriented or in need of medical attention. What led her to leaving the scene, and how could this have been prevented? Join us as we delve deeper into this tragic event and the implications it holds for the community. In the early hours of November 2nd, 2013, a tragic event occurred in Dearborn Heights, Michigan, when 19-year-old Renisha McBride was shot and killed by homeowner Theodore Paul Wafer, 54 years old. McBride had crashed her car about a mile away from Wafer's residence more than 3 hours earlier. Wafer shot McBride in the face through a screen door. According to prosecutor Kim Worthy, it is unknown what McBride did during the 3 hours between the car crash and the fatal shooting. Her family believes that she may sustain a head injury, causing her to become disoriented and seek assistance. This tragic incident raises several questions about the use of deadly force and the importance of responding to individuals in distress. McBride's family claims that her seeking help highlights the need for increased awareness and resources individuals for who may be in vulnerable situations. Join us as we explore the details of this case and the broader implications it holds for the community. In the aftermath of the tragic shooting of Renisha McBride, new details have emerged that shed light on the events leading up to her death. According to the Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office, McBride was highly intoxicated at the time of her death. The homeowner, Theodore Paul Wafer, initially told police that he had accidentally fired his 12-gauge shotgun, believing that his home was being broken into. However, firearms expert David Balash, who is testifying for the defense, has presented a different theory. Balash believes that the screen in the outer door was out of its frame before the shot was fired, suggesting that McBride had been knocked out of place, causing alarm in the homeowner. Prosecutors, on the other hand, blame the shotgun blast for the displacement. This case highlights the complex nature of gun violence and the importance of thoroughly investigating incidents involving the use of deadly force. McBride's state of intoxication at the time of her death adds another layer to the story and raises questions about how alcohol consumption may have contributed to the events leading up to her fatal shooting. Just as we continue to follow this case and explore its broader implications for the community. The fallout of Renisha McBride's passing saw a fight in court that would come full circle in the conviction of Theodore Paul Wafer. On November 15, 2013, the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office reported its choice to indict Wafer for second-degree murder, homicide, and ownership of a gun during the commission of a crime. The trial began in June 2014, and Wafer was found guilty of all three charges on August 7, 2014. The second-degree murder charge carried a maximum sentence life of imprisonment, while the manslaughter charge could have resulted in a 15-year sentence. The felony gun charge carried an additional 2-year sentence. On September 3, 2014, Wafer was sentenced to 17 to 32 years in prison. He received 15 to 30 years for second-degree murder and a mandatory 2-year sentence for the felony firearms charge. This case highlights the importance of justice being served for victims of gun violence and serves as a reminder of the consequences that come with the misuse of deadly force. The conviction and sentencing of Theodore Paul Wafer bring a sense of closure to McBride's family and the wider community as they continue to grapple with the aftermath of this tragedy. The shooting of Renisha McBride by Theodore Wafer became a highly controversial case that drew national attention and reignited debates about racial profiling and stand your ground laws. The shooting occurred amidst a climate of heightened tensions following the killing of Trayvon Martin, another unarmed black teenager, by George Zimmerman in 2012. Similarities between the two cases led to the accusations of racial profiling and demands for justice, despite legal experts noting the timeline of events in the McBride shooting as it was much less clear than the Martin case. The shooting nonetheless became a symbol in the national debate over stand your ground laws. McBride's family claimed that she was seeking help after being disoriented by a car crash, while Wafer claimed that he thought his home was being broken into. Regardless of the motives behind the shooting, the tragic incident resulted in the loss of a young life and sparked a national conversation about race, justice, and gun laws. In the end, Wafer was found guilty of second-degree murder, manslaughter, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony and sentenced to 17 to 32 years in prison, while Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy stated that the decision to charge Wafer had nothing to do with race. The shooting remains a poignant example of the deep-seated societal issues surrounding race, justice, and gun laws that continue to plague the United States. The trial and conviction of Theodore Paul Wafer served as a small measure of justice for McBride and her family. While the prosecutor's office maintained that race was not a factor in the decision to prosecute Wafer, the case nonetheless drew attention to the ways in which race and ethnicity can play a role in the criminal justice system. As the nation continues to grapple with issues of gun violence and racial justice, the story of Renisha McBride serves as a reminder of the urgent need for change. It is up to all of us to work together to create a society that is more just, more equitable, and more humane.